going to happen. Dark Passage as well, they've managed to get a 2-0. Detonation Focusing being taken down twice by that side.
Yeah, DP, though, banning Shin from blue side. Typically, Shin's been a staple ban. He's been 100% picked or banned so far throughout the tournament, but from blue side kind of tells me that, not that Elwin can't play it, but they're perhaps looking for something else. We know he's a big Fizz top player.
And I actually like that you brought up the mid lane, because you look at these teams stylistically and how you beat Dark Passage to contrast what you said earlier. It is beat Naru in lane. If there is one thing that G4 can do, it is pressure the lane on those assassin style of champions. So taking away a very big roam intensive champion, or the potential thereof, it actually unlocks the capabilities of then controlling Naru and keeping him down.
Yeah, and Dark Passage actually looks like they think that they're on red side here, as the Shen and Kalista have been banned away from the blue.
Yeah, I don't understand banning Kalista from blue side ever.
Yeah.
And I cannot support that decision.
It may signal the Thresh first pick.
Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, Frostgren has left the desk.
No support here. I think it does signal the Thresh first pick, though.
Yeah.
Could happen, yeah.
That or the Gragas, I think, are the two big options. They're taking them away from the Bangkok Titans, and it's now in their hands as to what their priority might be. Is it the Kog'Maw? But Lulu, they ban themselves, so it's unlikely, which you then default to target picks.
Or does Crystal want to pick up his massively played Rek'Sai as well? I mean,
hey, weren't we just talking about this?
He's going to be hovered at least.
I can show you the world.
It should just be locked in. I don't think they even need to. That's impressive. Max actually sang.
Yeah,
I've been working on this for months. No, but I mean, obviously the reason I'm starting to sing, it's just because we talked about this Thresh. We predicted that it was going to be the Thresh. We brought it up, and it's really refreshing to see. And
it's, of course, Dark Passage's signature champion.
I get it. I was like, Rydell, I know he plays Thresh, and I had like go through it. Why is it that? Oh, it's because their name.
You struggled with that one last
time. That was a pretty strong.
There was actually like a beat where it took me a second to.
Yeah.
Their logo's a tiger, okay? Like if it was a lantern, it'd be one thing, but it's a white tiger and he's on fire.
Yeah, that's actually really confusing. How does that?
Yeah.
How is that a dark
It's not
passage?
thematically accurate, okay? But they do
really
lock in their signature champion. They picked up the Thresh. I am now the play-by-play. Max is retired.
Their signature champion should be Rengar.
Wow, we're still there. We're still there. Rusty tries his best to pick the train up, put it back on the rails, but nope.
He's
we're still driving the wrong direction.
Take the lantern.
Yeah, the only train remaining is the hype train.
Well, the Bangkok Titans, they're looking to try and pick up their next two champions, wondering what to do when the Thresh isn't there. 007X can go back to the Gragas. Didn't work out for them in the last game, but
I said Rek'Sai.
That's true. Well, they could grab that if you want.
Between Rek'Sai and Gragas, they are the two big jungle picks, and it takes the Rek'Sai away from Crystal. Either that or they go for a champion they would prefer themselves. Which is like one of many.
Between three right now. I mean, again, 5.15. Elise is very strong. I would assume that he'd be the Gragas. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like he was just randomizing it.
The reason why I love Rek'Sai on 007 in particular is just because he's such a heavy counter invade style.
Yeah.
Now the thing about Gragas is he can itemize into Balmy Cinder as opposed to the Trailblazer just because of how he jungles. He doesn't need the assistance of the Trailblazer item because he does AoE damage to the creeps anyway.
Yeah, he sustains there as well.
Exactly. So it works in theory, but I just feel like empowering yourself to counter jungle with Rek'Sai's Tremor Sense is just so much stronger for 007 in particular.
It just feels like he's allowing Crystal to play his own champion now because naturally, you'll assume anyway, as of this moment, they'll go for that Rek'Sai.
Crystal has, what, a 60% play rate on Rek'Sai?
Yeah.
It's probably higher than
now.
that. Yeah. Like 14 games out of 20, he's played Rek'Sai. So to me, that was a no-brainer of a denial pick, especially because, you know, Dark Passage already, you know, banning Kalista from the blue side. Priority picking Thresh is a denial away from Moss. They don't need to pick Rek'Sai in this rotation, though. They can if they want to hide it.
If they do go for the Kog'Maw here, though, Dark Passage, the Maokai has already been picked as put in place from Warlock, and he can afford to go straight in, and they can run it. Whoa, hello.
Okay.
Mascot?
Well.
Damn it.
Yeah, we are probably going to have that one remade. Crystal struggling to lock in a champion, I believe. So we are going to get back into champion select as soon as possible. But, man, I was excited, too. Thought that we might get back onto the ringer.
I was so ready for the white tiger on fire.
Yeah, really exciting stuff. And in fact, if you were to look at the Dandy skin from Worlds, pretty similar. You know, he's wearing white at least. Makes a bit of sense.
Just going to let them go, I think.
No? Okay, maybe I'm just getting a little bit overexcited. We are going to
just
get
gonna
back
sit
into
over
Champion
here.
Select as soon as possible. And we'll see exactly what that pick from Crystal was going to be. Of course, I have a feeling it was probably looking for the Rek'Sai. And
Well-
unfortunately, the Rengar just a little bit close. And
Well,
didn't
I would
click on
assume
the
their
right one.
client is in Turkish.
Oh, dang it. Froskarin. Put a massive spanner in my plan. Well, how do you justify then? All right, let's just thought it was pretty good.
He's like,
know how to spell it
Rek'Sai is really
otherwise.
close to Rengar. Yeah, in English.
Yeah.
Let's
okay.
make the assumption, though, that it was going to be more towards the Rek'Sai than the Rengar, because it's unlikely that he will just randomly pick up this champion. He's had a bit of time to practice, but again, probably not. So you'd say the Rek'Sai will be picked up, and
I believe it's the Rek'Sai, yeah. We
Yeah.
just got confirmation it's everything but the Rengar. Didn't Dark Passage have the same problem last time?
Yeah.
Isn't this
Yeah,
two
they did.
remakes that they've done?
Dark Passage.
I believe it
Silly
was also
billies.
on Crystal. What is that guy doing?
I don't know. Not picking champions is apparently definitely one of those things. But Kog'Maw is, of course, locked in, so they do have the Kog'Maw Thresh as far as that bottom lane is concerned, already confirmed for this side. Maokai over on the other side of the rift for the Bangkok Titans. So we'll see whether, Warlock can do his best swiper impression from the last game.
And it's unfortunate as well. Zeitnot doesn't want to play the Vayne or anything overly aggressive that he's always preference towards. So I hope to see him in this game, future games, just actually pick up Vayne and just be hyper aggressive. Because you look at this Dark Passage AD carry, he's the mechanical genius of the team and needs to be considered.
The thing I want to bring to light here is the fact that there was Ghost Flash on Naru as well. We could potentially see the Kog'Maw in the mid lane. Then you could have your wish. We could potentially have the Vayne. Who knows?
I'm going to suspect that it's AD carry Kog'Maw.
Yeah, so am I.
Just because, especially since we've seen so much Varus being played in the mid lane, I kind of feel like AP Kog'Maw is just the weaker form of Varus in the current iteration of the meta in terms of what he's going to bring. But to Rusty's point, I mean, yeah, I would love to see Zeitnot pull out his Vayne. He's fantastic at it, but you're still going to do ridiculous amounts of damage with Kog'Maw, and Kog'Maw's going to bring so much more siege. So I still like the fact that they're, putting priority and emphasis on Zeitnot's performance.
Yeah, so I think the reason that I actually want to bring this up the most is they already banned Lulu. They don't need to default to the Kog'Maw pick. They're not taking it away from anyone.
That's a good.
They
yeah.
can just go Vayne, but instead they go for the Kog'Maw.
It's Elise too.
Yeah, Lee's going to be locked in there for Crystal. That's what he was looking for.
Oh, that was quick from Lloyd.
Yeah, G4 hovering the Yasuo here. They
reasonable.
haven't got a support just yet. So he could pick that one up and Braum would easily be grabbed. They could just grab the Braum as well, first off. Italy.
What?
I don't know if they'll go for the Yasuo. Braum is banned, keep that in mind, by their own team, so Yasuo is the only big wall remaining for this
That's
Bangkok
true.
Titans
That is
side.
very true.
And they lock in the Nautilus.
Yeah, so Nautilus support there for Moss. Another hook champion to answer that of Rydals here in this case.
That's a really strong 2v2 lane. That's probably one of the
Yeah.
strongest 2v2 lanes in the game. Lucia and Nautilus. Curious if Rydal and Zeitnot are going to look for a lane swap here.
Didn't remember until just this moment.
He's an Azir player.
Naru is
Yeah.
the Azir god, as he has been described by people who I ask about Naru.
And
That's
Fizz is up
scary.
as well. They could lock in both of them right now. Elwyn could grab his signature champion, and Naru can grab his right off the gate here, but might just be Fiora instead.
He longs for a worthy opponent.
Well, Warlock will be in the top lane, so there we are.
Yeah, Zeitnot should pick up. That's actually going to be amazing. If Dark Passage get this team, if they choose
Oh, this is
team,
another
I should
Elwyn
say,
special.
then it's just going to be the ideal Dark Passage team comp. The only big wild card, you have to say, comes back to Zeitnot on that Kog'Maw again.
Yeah.
So locking in the Shyvana. We haven't seen a lot of Shyvana in a very long time. Curious if he's going to switch out his teleport and look for a smite.
Yeah.
Yep, there he goes. Not his teleport, his flash, excuse me.
Oh my goodness, G4. He's locked it
Oh,
in.
the G4
We've got
special.
the G4 special in the mid lane. He's going to be picking up the Z. This is what G4 does. He's like, I've lost a game. I'm sick of it. I'm not playing with my team anymore. I'm going on a split pusher, and we're going to win the game from bottom lane or top lane. I'm leaving you guys on your own.
And we've talked about how impressive the mid laners have been from this tournament, Naru and G4 in particular, both on their signature champions. And now I'm actually going to throw it to Rusty. I know I have my opinions on this matchup, but you're the ex-professional mid lane player. Azir versus Zed. Break it down.
Azir wins 100% of the time.
That was also my analysis. I tried to give it to you. I could have said that, Rusty.
Yeah, so pre-level 6, it's actually good for the Zed. The big difference is that at level 6, Zed, this is 5.15. It's not a 0.5 second difference between using the ultimate and going back to the ultimate Shadow. Azir can just use the ultimate, knock you away. You can't actually put down damage in between that spell usage. Really difficult to actually win a trade as the Zed. So looking at the direct 1 versus 1, you take into account summoner spells also. I don't think Azir should ever die in laning phase from level 6 onwards. If there's jungle pressure, if they find and engage pre that level 6 before the Emperor's Divide, then honestly it's still fine for G4.
The one thing that I will say is that G4 has been playing Zed since the changes on his ultimate. He's been very comfortable in multiple matchups. And again, this is the champion that he made himself famous on. His Zed mechanics are pretty unreal. And it also opens up the 1-3-1 split push. And there's not a ton of answer there. The fact that you have Shyvana, I guess, is kind of the one dynamic here. So I actually feel like this is probably going to be between Elwind and G4 come late game.
Yeah, we'll see who can get to that massive unstoppable point. And when it comes to split pushing, it's who can draw multiple people into the lane and who can just be dealt with by you know, their lane opponent or something like that. You know, so making sure that you need to be able to draw as many resources towards you. Otherwise, the split push not going to quite work out. But look, G4 probably not even too flustered about the fact that he's against the Azir in lane, because he generally plays with the map. He wants to be moving to the bottom lane. He wants to be picking off targets, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to now on his Zed pickup. Because, man, it's just been so long since we've seen sort of a Zed.
Yeah, I mean, in general, exactly. So, and he's going to be picked into the Kog'Maw also. It's not going to be the Lucian. So the bot lane looking to be a kill lane here from Lloyd and Moss on Bangkok Titans, looking to be super aggressive, make Zeitnot's life miserable, and then if the Kog'Maw is ever behind, Zed can then just split against him.
I'm actually really glad that you brought up the fact that it's into a Kog'Maw, and naturally this pick is in response to that. Not just the 1v1 matchup in mid lane, but the fact that Zeitnot, the big carry, has that hyper carry champion. Alex Each himself said that anytime Zed is in meta, Kog'Maw cannot be played because just of how the mid lane is going to impact just blowing up that hyper carry.
Completely.
Yeah. It's a very good point. But ladies and gentlemen, the reason we're not onto the Rift just yet is because once again, CP mode has been activated. Do have a pause as we hop on. We are going to be getting it resumed as soon as possible. Just a couple of issues as far as the mechanical aspect. Just players trying to find their way back into the game as well. So we'll be there as soon as possible.
But in the meantime, you get to hang out with us.
Yeah.
Raise your koalas.
No more Rengar talk, please. No more.
What? Their logo.
Okay. Yes. No. You just brought it up, Rusty. What the heck are you doing?
No, I'm prefacing it by saying no more Rengar talk. Let's talk about these things behind us here.
Oh, like
See
the champions?
Yeah,
those guys? Okay.
Just Vanna White it.
Yep, flashless top laner is actually a big deal here as well, if they are going to go into standard lanes, because the fact that you do have a ganking jungler in that Gragas, you could possibly get some work done on this Shyvana early on before she gets too difficult to deal with after taking a whole lot of camps. But we have made it through the pause, ladies and gentlemen. We're hopping on to the Rift for Dark Passage, taking on the Bangkok Titans for our third match of the night. Day 2 of the IWCT. G4 is on his Zed. I'm so excited to see how this one is going to work out. And what I want to see as well is Warlock to build a Rod of Ages. That's what I want to see.
That was so upsetting.
Warlock could potentially look towards a Rod of Ages.
Because they're just missing magic damage, that's all I'm saying.
I don't think he will, though. They may be missing a bit of magic damage, but keep in mind Kog'Maw makes up for magic damage quite nicely. Or am I saying the wrong team?
I think you're saying the wrong team.
Kog'Maw's on.
Lucian doesn't have a lot of magic damage.
He should just go Death Cap. They need magic damage on that team. The Shyvana is something that I wanted to talk about, though, is that he's going to be the one that will be most likely the answer to the Zed come late game. So what I want to look for is how he's going to itemize. Is he going to go towards the lane, get like a Spectre's Cow, Spirit Visage style of build? Or will he go for some early armor, maybe work towards something to deal with the Zed, knowing that he will split push usually around the Blade of the Ruined King?
Yeah, well, we'll see what he is going to decide to do. I'd actually like that. Do you think that he's probably going to go for something where he can actually take on the Zed, maybe take him down himself, build maybe some offense here on the side of the Shyvana, as far as, like, it is going to be helping him with his counter jungle at the same time. He will be grabbing that Cinderhulk, but could we see potentially a Blade of the Ruined King out of this guy?
I think it's entirely possible.
It's a snowball item, effectively. If Shyvana gets ahead, he can look to itemize more damage. If not, we'll probably see the resistances like Rusty says. And again, just to underline that point, because I think it's really important, the fact that you have different damage in your mid lane and your top lane. So many of these compositions are very magic oriented or AP oriented. So this is really going to force Elwyn to commit to a style very early.
Not to mention, we were mentioning earlier that Maokai should probably go towards a Rod of Ages because of their lack of magic damage. So if he can get through laning phase without losing, and he doesn't need to itemize for laning phase, he can just stack armor and actually just be a monster.
I actually find it really interesting that you mentioned this Dark Passage lineup as being, you know, without as much magic damage. Shyvana does mostly magic damage, as does Kog'Maw early on in the game. So it's actually really interesting that early on they'll have to itemize for the magic resist, and then come late game, Kog'Maw, Zeitnot's going to be doing massive amounts of damage in the physical aspect at the same time. It's going to be really difficult for the Bangkok Titans to play against this as far as the resistance stats are concerned.
It's also a 5v5, kind of protect the AD carry composition. You have Thresh and Azir there to create space for Zeitnot on that Kog'Maw versus a very heavy skirmish composition. Zed opening up the 1-3-1, the fact that Lucian's there is excellent at skirmishing, and this just goes back to the kill participation. Dark Passage thrive when they're in the 5v5, when they're all together. Whereas the Bangkok Titans, yes, they can thrive in a 5v5, but just the chaos skirmish around the map.
No,
already. Zeitnot might be in trouble there on the bottom side of the map. Has been taken down very, very low. Hasn't used the heal or the flash just yet.
So it's not even vertical starts. It's vertical jungling, but it's in the opposition jungle here. And they're doing it essentially blind with knowledge that the other jungler is going to be taking their own respective buffs. So it's a weird vertical start to me because it's on the opposite of normal. It's going to have the same end result, except where they finish is more inclined to ganking. I would almost say mid.
The other big thing is just they were unsure if a lane swap was coming out. That's all that really amounts to.
We're struggling with this matchup here at the moment. The Shadow goes down. There's a double shuriken as well, so Naru has to blow a pot.
That actually spikes quite hard at level 2 if there's no minions nearby. But because he has gone straight for that key, you can see the aggression to match trades. It's very important that he hits the shurikens with his leg.
Well, actually, there's a nice piercing light over both here as Kasu blows down onto Zeitnot. He's going to get hooked up as well. Has to blow the heal and the flash. There's a flash in response there from Moss. Doesn't want to get hooked back in.
Don't really think he needed to flash there, Nautilus, but he did. He got out perfectly fine. And Zeitnot really honestly just did his best attempt at losing the lane. He even walked into the piercing light from the Lucian.
Whoa! Once again. There's the flayback. Rydell going to get stunned. Thresh doing everything he can to try and protect this little Kog'Maw.
Lucian is lining these up.
We have Gragas over in the area. Here comes Lloyd.
Relentless Pursuit comes in. Rydell trying to stop them. There's a flash body slam. Easy first blood delivered to 007X. Meanwhile, G4 is going to be able to pick up a kill in the mid lane. Crystal answers it straight away, but Rydell, you are so dead. 007X able to tank up the turret, and that was some pretty sweet juggling.
I'm glad you said it. Beautiful tower aggro juggle from the Bangkok Titans coming out right there. The fact that Moss got away with this hook, but then it was this beautiful moment where Lloyd and 007 look at each other. 007 picks up the tower aggro, and then Lucian is in perfect position to just clean up the rest of the fight.
And even like the slightest bit further on that detail is that there was no flash from Moss because he used it earlier, but he saved his hook to get to safety. So they juggle aggro pretty much to perfection. The synergy between this whole team is phenomenal.
And the big thing is that Lloyd has both of his summoners available. He still has the flash and the heal.
And look, 24 CS to 5 in that bottom lane as well. You mentioned the fact that Nautilus and Lucian are pretty strong. I hope you're feeling proud of yourself because it's being demonstrated perfectly right here. G4 might be in some trouble. The Shadow is, of course, down. He's trying to dodge out of the way of the Cocoon. There's the creep wave. So Crystal not going to line that one up. 3 swords for the Zed.
And that was pretty much all the minion wave actually saving him right there. There was no way for a Cocoon to even connect. And an aggressive decision. But it was still perfectly warranted here by Naru. Just using that E is a sign to me. If you ever use it in laning phase, you're saying that I either have a jungler here or I'm looking to die.
Well, not a lot of suicidal mid laners, so probably can assume that it is going to be the jungler.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, I just felt like following it up with some obviousness. Sometimes that's sort of the thing that I like to do. Zeitnot still hanging out here in this lane, trying to pick up as much farm as he can. He's a level behind, though. 007X coming down saying, ooh, easy pickings. There is no flash on the Kog'Maw, so I am going to jump straight into this one.
It's just so wonderful the fact that Lloyd and Moss, hold on.
Yeah, there it is. Concussive Blows goes down as well. Rydell taking so much damage,
Wow.
easily delivered to Lloyd.
Okay, what I was just about to point out, the fact that the wave is pushing into Lloyd and Moss, that they're able to pull or force Sight Knight that far up without his flash or his heal available to him and deny all of that golden experience. And in the end, that's what makes that gank work. The fact that since the wave is that far forward, Kog'Maw and Thresh have to wander into danger to get it.
And even without the Gragas there, the Nautilus can still very easily hit a hook and push them out of lane. So it's just controlling the wave is really well done here by this Bangkok Titans side.
It's like a double whammy against Sight Knight.
Oh, the hook doesn't land. Moss actually going to attach himself to the wall. Bangkok Titans are going to back away. Zeitnot still wandering up this lane, trying to get experience where he can.
There's a big trade-off when it comes to the early game here for junglers. Do you risk ganking or do you look to farm more so? The success of actually getting a gank off is that everyone gets ahead, whereas Crystal's jungling and now trying to help his lane.
Exactly, and what Rusty's talking about is the fact that Elise walks into the lane, and this is something that Elise used to do all the time when she was very flavorful in the meta, is she can just walk in at any moment, force the wave, and try to reset this. So this is just Crystal trying to save his bottom lane.
Yeah, breaking the freeze is actually more important than anything else right now, but Lloyd will have enough very soon, you would imagine, almost even for a BF swap, because that guy is so far ahead.
26 CS up, 2 kills, so that's another. Each kill is going to equate to about 13 to 15 CS, so he's about 50 CS up right now in terms of just gold.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that it's this early in the game. So 7.5 minutes to have a 29 CS advantage is well over double. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
this kind of power is crazy. Elwind actually going to drag his way over the wall.
He did place a deep ward on the red buff to kind of keep track of where 7 is, and I actually really respect this opinion from him. Dark Passage have lost complete control over the bottom side of the map, but they can still try to retain control on the top side and the mid lane. So yes, Naru is down a single kill, but the shift and the dynamic of power for mid lane is going to swap now that he has his ultimate available to him. So I feel like Dark Passage just let Zeitnot and Rydell hang on, completely sack them, and look towards the top side.
So this will be the interesting aspect, is that Lloyd, after his next back, as he almost gets hooked, will be able to get a BF sword, you would imagine, on top of the pickaxe that he already has. This allows Moss to not even need to lane, because Lloyd could honestly 1v2 at that stage, and then the Nautilus can be anywhere on the map and actually work with 007 and just take over everything, including bottom.
Well, Lloyd heading back, wants to grab himself that BF sword. So the CS lead's still there as well. And there's the big friend. In his back pocket. Zeitnot does have his flash and heal back off cooldown now, so going to be a little bit safer. 007X not going to be able to prey on him just as much, but it looks like he's looking towards the mid lane.
Yeah, and speaking of mid lanes, they did have a little tough earlier where G4 came out with a kill, so...
Was answered immediately by Chris.
Yeah, but the fact that now that they're level 6 onwards, you'll see a lot less kills out of this middle lane, so look for G4 to maybe work around the map with his team. Maybe even the blue buff right now.
The smite off. Oh, doesn't manage to get the shadow over the wall. G4 let's get his eye in just a little bit as far as that one's range.
But it's massive because he denies the mana regen and the CDR from Naru. And naturally, because it's a mana-based champion versus a resource or energy-based champion, that's going to be a big deal.
Unfortunate that he doesn't get the blue buff himself. Of course, getting energy regen is very handy.
He'll get his own.
But he will. He would hope.
One would think. We're not casting the Chiefs right now.
We can't predict the future. You never know. Oh, Zeitnot still keeping his spirits up. Playing some music here on the bottom side of the rift. G4 dodging out of the way of the spider web.
It's the knowledge that they will outscale, but there's a point where outscaling doesn't happen because Lucian's so far ahead.
But at the same time, Dark Passage have already shown in their first game of the day that they're totally comfortable playing from behind, keeping and minimizing the gold lead. I mean, they beat Detonation Focus Me from a gold deficit. They can look to do it here in the late game.
Oh my god.
Depth charge comes in. Rydell just going to get popped. The heels down. Piercing light on both of them as well. Floyd just untouched underneath this turret. Elwin says, guys, pay attention to me, but they're not, as Moss continues to tank this one up. Lloyd now grabs the aggro as Crystal going to repel his way in. Moss is in trouble. Crystal flashing out immediately as Elwin just being ignored. There's Naru with a gigantic ultimate as 007X finally falling down. Lloyd
That's
gets
it.
exhausted by the Azir as G4 finds his way in Deathmark onto Naru, picks up 1 kill. It's going to be 2 as the double kill comes in. 3 kills for the Zed now. The Bangkok Titans, I think, came out ahead.
They definitely came out ahead. They're going to have pressure on this turret. It seems like they don't want to take it down because their lane is winning so hard already. They want to keep that where it is. Elwyn gets there at the same time as Warlock, essentially to have the same impact. This all starts from an entire culling connecting onto Rydell. Just locks him down with Moss's auto attack. Zeitnot, very quick to follow, gets pressured down from the Maokai that comes in. And this is where Elwyn lives for such an extended period of time. Crystal goes in, and they're just waiting. Naru's in the wings. He's making his way down. Zed is following as well. I think he uses the shadow to get over the Dragon Pit, so he doesn't have that. Naru comes in, makes a big play. They get some picks back. Lloyd goes down. G4, fantastic play. Ults Naru, ignites and kills Crystal, and then just goes back with confidence that the Azir was going to die.
Great target management there from the Bangkok Titans to come up ahead, and after it's all said and done, we'll see if they translate any of this power and pressure into a dragon.
What objectives? You're crazy. They're looking for more skirmishes, Froskerin. This is the Bangkok Titans.
I mean, the team they've got is perfect for skirmishing. And the fact that G4 is now 3-1, when they do start split pushing, Elwind is getting armor at least a bit.
I was watching the game upstairs, and I looked over at the company that I was sharing. I said, just watch where the Bangkok Titans fight. It's never in a jungle. It's always these kills in the lane.
Well, look, this is in the jungle. Crystal's struggling to work out
They
which
came
jungle
from
he's
the
in.
lane.
There's the explosive cast. G4 wants to grab himself a kill. Just going to prepare it there as the Ardent Blaze picks it up. Bangkok Titans looking so coordinated, transitioning into the Dragon here as well. At least 007X is.
Look, that was a silver platter for Illusion as well. There's never been an easiest kill.
He's even trolling 007X here as well, saying, no, I'll go back, man. You can handle this one, you'll be fine.
But the point of it is that the Bangkok Titans, they don't fight over the objectives. They use the objectives as tools to draw people to fight them. They're not there for the dragon. They're not there for the red buff. They're there to murder you. So majority of their fights do happen in the lanes because that's 9 times out of 10 where the enemy team is. And they'll wander in there, chase you through into the jungle just because that's you. That's what they want. You're a creep to them.
Exactly. And that's where all the money is. Kills are where all the money is, according to the Bangkok Titans.
I keep telling people, you know, there's no reason to really go into lane phase if you can, like, it's the sure way to get experience in gold through the creeps, but if you can ramp and speed that up by just roaming around the map and punching people, just go punching.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what Bangkok Titans want to do as well. I mean, they only go into laning phase because that's where the enemy champions are, and they want to spread themselves out so that they can have the most potential for fighting people. They are going to switch up to the top side.
Moss showing himself.
Demonstrate that he's here. Lands the hook onto Rydell as well. Concussive blows is down. Death charge comes in. The box is there, though, trying its very best to slow down the pursuit.
They could easily just go and grab the tower, but they don't want the tower.
That doesn't give you gold, does it?
I think my favorite part of that whole thing was Moss stood out of the bush. It's like, I am here, you probably want to run.
Yeah.
And just goes 2 seconds later anyway. Dark Passage are here now, but they won't be able to stop that one. My favorite part is that Zeitnot is really self-reliant. He doesn't actually want to look after Rydell at all. He just wants to live himself. So if the Nautilus ult goes onto Zeitnot, it doesn't matter that it knocks up the Thresh on the way.
No.
Needs also to be noted that Elwind did manage to secure a tower in response on the bottom side of the map. So we talked about the split push. You know, what is this Shyvana going to itemize in response to the 1-3-1 that will open up from this Zed from G4? And it looks like it's going to be armor. Has a Ruby Crystal right now, has completed the Ninja Tabby, and has the challenging Smite Cinderhulk available.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, in the mid lane, we do have the Blade of the Ruin King completed as well as the Brutalizer for G4. But on the other side, that Zhonya's Hourglass is now there for Naru. So not a lot of chance for G4 to take down this Azir, what with the exhaust already being there, as well as the fact that he can turn himself gold. Golden Pigeon, he most certainly will be this time around.
The Golden Chicken is what they
The
call
Golden
him.
Chicken?
Yes.
I just think he looks way more like a pigeon.
Well, he also does kind of a little pigeon dance.
Yeah. My favorite song of the game, just FYI.
Love it. Cogmore's been making some lovely music, though. I think that's the best one.
Cogmore is so dead. Moss is going to make his way in. The culling comes through. Just going to clear out some minions now. Is Zeitnot going to get pierced once again? Elwyn does have the ultimate available as a Cathian surprise trying to do some work for Bangkok Titans. They got what they wanted.
There was no reason for Elwin to teleport there. He had no tools to save his Kog'Maw. He doesn't have the damage itemized or any low health targets where he could look to reasonably and feasibly trade there, and he just sacrificed his teleport as G4 is on the bottom side of the map.
So he definitely sacrificed the teleport, but he was also doing it blindly to try and save the Kog'Maw on the assumption that there was only the one person
That there
bringing down
wasn't
pressure.
20
Mind games.
Yeah, so they didn't have the vision of the rest of the team working up the river, and he teleported to try and stop that, to prompt them away from the Kog'Maw to try and keep him alive. Did not go to any avail, unfortunately, as Kog'Maw is a glorified cannon minion at this stage and is just consistently dying.
What I find really interesting is the fact that Elwind is built, like Shyvana as a champion is built to farm all the time, but Warlock, he's actually managed to keep up and is ahead by a few CS here as well, as G4 is going to go aggressive onto Crystal.
Why are you walking towards him?
Yeah, he's just going to die instead. Okay, G4 picks up that kill rather easily as Elwind, he's going to head back to that inner turret. That was an interesting interaction. I'm pretty sure you can click on the lantern, can't you?
No, what I was saying
land
is
on it?
why are they walking towards the lantern? Because Elise can drop down onto them closer to the lantern and then click away.
Okay.
But he realized it as he took a step, and that's why they walked back towards the starting point of Elise and grouped up, so she would have to either drop down where she started or drop down
Another
onto
teleport
them.
to the Kog'Maw.
Oh my goodness, Zeitnot pushed so far up this lane. Massive tanky members in Moss and Warlock, and Zeitnot trying his very best to, I don't know, do something. Clear out the minions with the Acathian surprise, because you're not going to be killing either of those guys. And
I can quote you for this, Proskirin. Trying to do more damage with his passive than anything else.
You're,
he's utilizing it.
you can't be an effective Kog'Maw player if you don't utilize the damage out of your passive. I mean, it's like
is.
another button.
Like
That's
Zyra.
sarcasm.
Like Zara. I don't know. I actually, not sarcasm.
You have to use the Christopher Walken voice in this time you're being
It's
sarcastic.
realism at this point in time. Based on
Okay,
the current performance.
realism, he's got, or he had a ward, it's now timed out. He had a ward kind of in between the tri-point of Blue Buff Glomp and Wolfcamp. He needs to move Vision up into the river if he's going to be that far forward.
Yep. And it feels like it is genuine desperation from this Kog'Maw to just get farm on the preface that he's not worth money when he dies. But really, he should not be doing that. So yes, it is a big mistake. You have to question his mental fortitude after dying 4 times.
At this point, he does have the Turning Force complete, but Dark Passage are going to completely forfeit this dragon.
Yeah.
Zeitnot's just too far behind, especially when you look across at Lloyd, who has the Infinity Edge and the Zeal complete.
Blue buff.
And Blue Buff.
Yeah, just took it for himself. Yellow Shin as well. Oh,
Wow.
Can't relentlessly pursue
Can't take the
the
Raptors.
Raptors.
Well, that's on camera.
See that guy? Balls are hard.
No, it's what G4 did as well, just throwing shadows into the wall. That's true. It's their calling card. It's their trademark. Don't worry about it. See, look at us make these mechanical errors and then wreck you in team fights. Is what Bangkok Titans say. To keep you false sense of security, guys.
You're really trying to sell that one.
I was doing my best. How did I go?
No. Elwind, back to the farming, and let's talk about his itemization, because that Giant's Belt became a Warbox. Now the thing about... Can I still talk about Shyvana?
Yeah,
Talk about
go,
okay.
go.
So he made a noise. Hold
I
on,
just
though.
said go about the...
I actually really like this. No, they're going to fight for this.
Yeah, looking for the steal, not going to get it. Takes the lantern, says, oh, no, I don't have a dragon. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Nope, they're going to fight for that. They're going to fight Naru.
She's looking for a window. No, I think you've got a second.
I feel like you're
I'm
looking
never
to
gonna
not
do it.
have a window right now.
I know,
You're
right?
trying to put yourself out of it.
Yeah, well, Lloyd trying to find Naru. Warlock and 007X just blocking each other. So frustrating. Fat man, big tree.
No,
Not
I got
gonna
my
fit through
window.
that choke together.
I got my window. No, come on. They're going to grab the minions. They're going to push mid.
Okay, are they?
No, they are, which my window's gone.
Yeah, okay, well, there's the repels. I'm not going to tank up an entire culling here. Is Crystal going to get altered by Moss? There's a decent playback before he
Watch
falls,
Naru.
but Naru trying to find Lloyd. He's not going to die. Now in an uncomfortable position as 007X just says, oh, flat, really confusedly over the other side of the Dragon Wall. Oh my gosh, Rydell close to dead, but they will take down the Dragons.
Dark Passage just won a team fight from a gold deficit on the back of Naru's fantastic Azir wall.
Yeah.
100% was all Naru. He put down enough damage to zone out Lloyd, dodge the body slam, and use the ultimate to keep 007 near the rest of his team.
Okay, we got a moment. Let's talk about Shyvana. Shyvana with Warmogs. Now, why I love Shyvana, it goes back to the Renekton versus Shyvana back in Season 3 when those two champions were massive. The thing about Shyvana is that she scales with resistances. So when she levels up, when she turns into Dragon form, the thing that she's going to get most is the armor and the MR stats. So by itemizing health, it costs less than the resistances. So if you give Shyvana like 5k gold and Renekton 5k gold, because Renekton scales off of health, he has to spend more gold to be just as tanky. So that's why I like health on Shyvana versus the resistances.
Really glad that we managed to get that.
Woo!
Yeah, see, there we are. Now the fight breaks out. Crystal uses the repel, not going to get engaged on just yet as Naru grabs a decent position around. There's the follow-up.
Wow.
The Shadow as Lloyd destroys Rydell completely. Bangkok Titans say, yep, you can engage on us all you like and we'll just murder you.
But they're buying time for Elwind.
They definitely are buying
And they don't have
time.
to... Warlock doesn't have teleport. This is why G4 has to go back. And the fact that Elwind has the TP, this is the win condition right now for Dark Passage, is to play around the map, but they disappear their mid-tier tower.
It's difficult, though, to deal with this Bangkok Titan side. If Lloyd ever gets onto you and actually hits you, you're going to die. G4 is very much content with actually split pushing anyway. Elwind's damage still scales. He's still very tanky.
Yeah, but we talked about, you know, this is going to be the matchup. This is the win condition between these teams. It's Zed versus Shyvana, itemizing into that health so she's not as easy to burst for Zed because she gets the natural armor anyway from Dragon.
Oh my goodness, there's a body slam to stop the Dragon's descent. And 007X doesn't have any friends, so he can't really do anything to follow it up.
Warlock tried to get in range of the Twisted Advance from the Dragon Pit, but couldn't get there as 007 did his job. They forced the Shyvana ultimate, but it's a reasonably low cooldown. Honestly, from this point on in this game, when the Narcissus Tooth is complete in particular, look at Naru, because he's on a champion that he should never get. It's his best champion, and if anyone can carry them through this game, whilst Elwind is split pushing down objectives, it's Naru on the Azir. Except the Nexus turret.
What is with these teams in walls? Just solid objects are not happening
No, he's just
today.
he's practicing. He's like, okay, what do we need to do? Kill the Nexus. All right, not this Nexus, but it's the other one. That's what we've got to do.
Yeah.
Got it nailed.
At least it was his own team's Nexus.
Probably not the right one to kill.
Thanks, John Madden.
What?
Oh, right, you're Australian. You don't understand that.
Yeah, no, not quite there. Do you want to explain?
No.
The trick is that Atlas gets that. He's just not going to. He wanted you to explain it.
Okay, G4 heading back towards that mid lane as well. Elwind now a long road if he wants to push that one all the way back to the inner turret one more time. Not sure what Moss is doing, but he's hanging out down there.
It's kind of a curious 1-1-2 that they've got going on. The fact that Maokai is sitting in the mid lane with the teleport available. He should really just be in that bottom lane mirroring and taking up the free farm.
So
I love
Maokai is actually the only tank of the team right now. Nautilus, he's big, but he's health stacked, and Naru will just shred through him. Maokai's the only one that can deal with the Azir if there is ever a team fight.
Of course, yeah.
So he needs to be there, and this is fine because they've got G4 to split. But it's also bad because there's only one person splitting, and they have to address. No.
Likewise, Dragon will be spawning in 1 minute 30 seconds. It's going to be the next big point of contention, and we'll see if Dark Passage are willing to step up to the plate and look for a contestant. So far, it's just been sneak steals with Dark Passage.
Opportunistic taking of the Dragon while it's there seems to be what
And
Bangkok Titans have been doing.
That's the answer.
Again, though, Zed's the one splitting without a teleport, so he's up against the Shyvana. If there is ever a team fight and Elwind has control of the lane,
They have the
he
4.
will be there.
Elwind as
definitely
well
has control
does
of
have
his
his
build.
Thorn Mail as well. Ridiculous. I was going to say that the Blade of the Ruined King that Lloyd is going to try and pick up as his next item is a really smart idea considering all of the health stacking that's going on, but Elwind now has a heck of a lot of armor at the same time, especially in that Dragon form.
Shyvana's never going to die. From here on out, if Shyvana dies, I'll be pleasantly surprised that he can actually bleed.
Now, why would you be
Not
pleasantly
that
surprised
the fact
about
that he's
someone
bleeding,
bleeding?
it's that I would be impressed.
It's really
That he could actually be killed.
Okay. No, I understand completely. The Blast Whisper, about to be completed here by G4. Will need it if he wants to actually scratch Elwind in any way, shape, or form. And even then, he probably just regens it in about 2 seconds anyway.
Dragon 14 seconds. Question is, with Dark Passage having the TP advantage, will they be able to translate this 4 and 5 into their first Dragon?
They should be able to, but you look at the control on the map from the Bangkok Titans. They're looking for standing objectives as well. They're not going to force fights around the Dragon.
Are they looking for it?
Naru.
There's
the
the flash on
champions?
Naru. Does have the Zhonya's Hourglass. Lloyd going to get into position. There's the Empress
Wow.
Divide, but man, the burst damage from this Lucian is huge. Now no one can trade for this as Warlock doing his very best to stall the rest of Dark Passage. Flashes out of the way. Turret falls down. Teleport into the bottom lane. G4's moving over the top as well.
This is a big tank battle, and I really like the way the Bangkok Titans actually put this one into effect.
Oh
Dark
my
Passage,
goodness.
not so much, but Elwin's never going to go down. They've now rotated
movement.
towards this team.
They're looking to try and get in there. G4 wants to get some damage down. Flashes forward. There's the death mark onto Zeitnot. Doesn't quite have what he needs just yet as the heal goes down. G4's going to finish it off. Back to his shadow. And that is definitely over 1 second, so no problem there at all. As 007X, he's going to pick up the kill onto Crystal. Lloyd, he's barely low. Everyone trying to take down Elwind, and they're going to be able to. Lloyd, yeah, like you said, almost killed himself.
Monster of a man, Elwin does go down, but of course it takes a lot of members and a lot of time
Take
to
the dragon,
ensure
guys. Why are you doing
that
that?
he does. They're too low, and Naru is alive. He could
Good point.
1v5 at that point in time, but the reason that fight even worked out well is they make a pick for a champion. They don't look for the objective where Elwin has that teleport advantage. They're working around vision control. They're placing themselves in areas where they can actually have positive outcomes.
The biggest thing for me on top of that is also skirmishes. So yeah, there were all 10 members kind of in that general area, that fight starting in the bottom, then rotating towards the mid lane. But skirmishing, the fact that the Bangkok Titans have a team lead, that this is where their team thrives, that this is where stylistically they thrive in the chaos.
Even body slams aren't hitting dragons. I'm sorry.
I don't understand. They're doing so well in the team fights, and then they can't hit a stationary dragon. That thing is huge. Oh dear. There we are. Nailed that one. No worries.
Nailed it.
Well, Lloyd back into the mid lane. 7, 1, and 6 on this Lucian. Blade of the Ruined King completed for this guy, and
The Name special.
yeah. Zeitnot as well. He doesn't even have his Blade of the Ruined King. Was forced to pick up the QSS as his third, well, second and a half item.
The coolest thing that I've really been trying to touch on is the way that they're using Warlock on this Maokai around the map. At the moment, it's standard to deal with Elwin. Teleport not being available and stuff, they actually want the Zed to be there. But when they have Zed against the Shyvana, they have the Maokai against the team.
Zeitnot's going to die.
Zeitnot's going to just get evaporated. And then they have the rest of the team, Lloyd, Moss, and 007 to make picks to control vision and to actually make plays around the map, as you're seeing now.
Well, they're also there to take down the Baron here as the Bangkok Titans with that newly forged Blade of the Ruined King here for Lloyd. He pops the Culling Crystal, tanks it up. Warlock gets over the top of the Empress Divide somehow as well. With that twisted advanced Crystal, he's in a whole bunch of trouble. There's the dredge line from Moss. Lloyd's going to pick up that one. G4, he makes his way towards the mid lane. Not sure whether he did anything, just checking out to see whether anyone on DP is dead that probably shouldn't be, and back to the Baron.
It's super important that Naru and Elwin are both alive. Elwin has a smite, so they can look to contest this Baron. Likewise, the AoE damage from Azir and a small choke point.
Yeah, he's trying to get his way in. They're turning on him. They're going to need everyone. This looks more difficult to kill than the Baron. Elwin, they are going to go back to this Baron. Man, he's taken so much damage over the last period of time. 007X extraordinarily low, down to about 2,000 health. 400, oh my goodness, very, very close, but it is going to be locked down by 007X. Elwind as well, very low. Piercing light, oh my god, bending some bullets over the top. Rydell is butter in this fight. Living Artillery comes through. G4 dominating now as Warlock gets exhausted. Not a target you really want to exhaust. 007X, that was a bit ridiculous, but G4 is going to get on top of Zeitnot. QSS not up again as he's just all over the place. And the Bangkok Titans, 24-4.
I told you, they've got the purple side advantage.
Yeah, well, they got the purple buff advantage now as well.
Lloyd just puts in work for this team. 9-1 and 9 right now. Went for the Blade of the Ruined King to actually take down the Warmog's first Shyvana, which dealing with that extra health actually helps him to a degree. Though, of course, she's very tanky. This Bangkok Titans side are consistently baiting the buffs, baiting Dragon, baiting Baron, working around Vision, and forcing Dark Passage to come to them, and then just destroying them. But it's on the back of one laning phase.
My goodness. Well, G4, he's going to take himself down some Krugs. He does have, of course, the last Whisper. He goes back to his split push. G4 in his natural habitat, ladies and gentlemen.
I have a feeling that he's just going to reset this wave or possibly set it up for a slow push as he leaves. and reset his health bar, spin the gold, and now look for the split push.
That's not even reset.
I wasn't gonna judge him, Rusty.
I'm judging him.
I think he thought that the Baron buff would kill the cannon before he left instead of leaving it alive, and so.
I thought the same thing that I hoped was great.
But he was like, empowered recall, damn it.
Yeah. Elwin's going to be there anyway to push it. He has the teleport available, so he's going to split push very much consistently now.
Black Cleaver as well built for G4. Thoughts, musings, Rusty?
It's okay. It's an extra bit of cooldown reduction. Isn't all that vital for a Zed, but it gives an extra armor penetration against his armor stacking side. And he already has the 2 armor penetration items, so it's the natural
Well,
third
actually,
one.
yeah, of course.
Oh, no. Oh my god.
Did he hit a wall?
Oh,
He hit a wall.
My goodness, he did. Oh, that's called a headbutt.
The MVP of this entire match
Is the map.
is the terrain.
Congratulations, Summoner's Rift, on your victory here at the IWCT.
You're the real hero, Summoner's Rift.
Always is.
It's saddening.
But actually really love to pick up at the Black Cleaver in that instance particularly.
Yeah, it gives him health and it gives him extra penetration against the Shyvana, who's now going
that's
offensive
90% armor pen.
And I don't want to put it all in the Black Cleaver. I'm also going to point out that he's 9-1-3.
Okay, that's a good point.
And
Can't
level
afford the Black
18
Cleaver, which is a
against
good
level
point.
15. So he's got the triple points into his ultimate. But, you know, Black Cleaver.
There's Cullen going to take down half the health of the support and the AD carries. Warlock finds his way in. It's a decent cocoon from Crystal to try and stop the aggression. Meanwhile, dodges out of the way of the Emperor's Divide as G4. Triple Shadow, legendary Zed. Bangkok Titans all across the map, decimating Dark Passage.
But this is what we talked about. G4 is a god-tier Zed player. He played it after the changes. He's played it into all of these matchups.
Spider. The depth charge is down here as well. There's the barrel out. Nailed that one, 007X's. Rydell, he's under his turrets. Elwin, he's starting to fall down a little bit quicker now as Lloyd probably wants to stop auto-attacking him. G4, he's focusing on what they need to. The structures here on the map. Second inhibitor going to fall.
This different iteration of the Bangkok Titans team comp.
Another Dreadline onto Elwind, and Warlock going to get Death Sentence back into the team. Flashes out of the way because he was taking some damage, but this could be triple inhibitors, and Bangkok Titans, it's a very different game to what we witnessed just one game ago.
Yeah.
There's no talking, Rusty. There's just destruction.
There's just fighting. If Bangkok Titans are on the map, there's going to be fighting. 27-4 in kills right now. They are controlling every single aspect. Shout out to Naru, got over the
Sweet
wall.
drifting.
It's a 33-minute game, and there's 31 kills in the game.
Yeah. Very, very bloodthirsty game. But again, you look at the Bangkok Titans team comp, and what they've actually got is comfortable champions for them. G4 on the signature Zed, about to find Naru.
Wandering around, Naru once again getting over the wall. Nicely done. Sun turret going to be erected here for the Azir. Clearing out minions as they fly in as well. So at least that's another turret. But it's looking very dire for the Dark Passage lineup.
Naru played really well this game as well. It's just honestly the bottom lane, the secondary carry Lloyd, he's always hyper aggressive, and getting him on a champion like Lucian has done wonders for their laning phase. 007 has put all of his focus towards that lane and made sure that they won so that they could roam around as a 3-man party and just destroy people whilst Warlock deals with the brunt of the damage and G4 deals with Elwin.
Seems like the classic Zeitnot problem as well. It seems like from ahead, he's fantastically strong, able to make huge plays around the map, but from behind, he just doesn't seem to be able to play it out
He
correctly.
doesn't change his play style. That's the thing. He plays as if he's 5k gold up by being that far forward.
We saw it from 2 of his deaths as well, sitting in that top lane and dealing with 3 members catching him with no vision of where he is. Bangkok Titans right now, they're looking to end the game.
Well, they've got 3 inhibitors down. There's nothing else for them to get apart from the Dragon. We know what they think about that. They don't care at all. There's so many items on Lloyd. Naru gets sent out of his base. Rydell super low. The Bangkok Titans getting kills all over the place. Both carries are dead. 007X finding his way in. G4, he's on the fountain, picks up the kill, gets out. It's a triple for the Zed. Everyone's dead now, and the Nexus, it's going to fall. Bangkok Titans answer back after a crushing defeat against the Chiefs. Pretty hectically there against Dark Passage.
And the Bangkok Titans 2-0 Dark Passage. So again, we talked about Dark Passage. They thrive when they're together, when they're in the 5v5. Stylistically, the Bangkok Titans love that.
Yeah.
Come fight us. Group up together. There's more people to kill.
You would almost say stylistically it favors them in this matchup. 37 kills in 32 minutes is absurd. There was so much action in that game, and it was all Bangkok Titans. They were 32 of those.
Yeah, it's skirmish-based League of Legends. It's exactly where these guys thrive. And as we were just updated there by our producer, wonderfully, it's 3 red side victories today. So I was coming into today thinking, oh my goodness, blue side, what is it that's making it so strong? Well, obviously nothing, because red side's the one that's so strong and is what I'm going to be thinking about heading into tomorrow.
But I think it's how the teams are dealing with the red side and what's changed. So the strengths of the blue side still exist in terms of your draft phase. So again, going back to Dark Passage draft, banning Kalista from blue side, that opens up, I mean, effectively that opens up more target bans for your enemy team, because the thing about purple side is you have what are called staple bans. So Kalista is one of them. So they don't get to weed out or to minimize a champion pool of a specific player, and Dark Passage did that for them.
Yeah, I guess the best way to point this out is they're looking at players and teams, not the map. So the Kalista being first pick, of course, you want to get that for yourself. But if you're banning it because the person you're versing beat you on Kalista yesterday, then you're wasting a ban.
Yeah, and I want to bring this back to the very early game as well. We saw as the minions clashed in that bottom side, Zeitnot was trying to create a freeze for himself. And I'm confused. Do you think that was something to do with Dark Passage assuming that they were going to get lane swapped on? The fact that this Kog'Maw probably had space? Because that was what lost him most of his health bar at the beginning and what really crushed him in that laning phase.
Well, we knew that both teams were curious who was going to lane swap just because of how they started. Like the fact that we had such a bizarre vertical jungle where there was 2 invades going through. I think the assumption was that everyone was getting a lane swap.
Well, it didn't actually happen, and in the end, it's going to be the Void Puppy that gets taken down for it. And Zeitnot, he's picked up the champion over and over again. I mean, his first performance was fantastic on the hero, but didn't really work out this time around, nor the last times, and we'll see what Zeitnot's going to move towards as we go through the day. But they're running out of opportunities here, Dark Passage.
And Zeitnot just needs to show some adaptation to his play style. It was something that you pointed out earlier, Froskurin, is that he plays the same way. And if he's going to play the same way, he may as well go to Vayne. He doesn't want to be Kog'Maw, sit in a solo lane, and just do nothing.
Yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a short break, but we'll be back very, very soon with more IWCQ action.